Welcome back to the Banganator podcast, brought to you by your host, Esley Banga. Season 2, episode 15. And how about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys on the night where Jimmy Johnson got inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor? About damn time.
30 years too late.
I'm saying, on a night where the Cowboys won a thriller 20-19 against the Lions. We the kings of the jungle against the Lions. Not y'all. But man, I'm here with my friend Zak Maddox. Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. It was a good football weekend. Good ass football weekend.
Lots of good action.
Yeah. We gonna get into
tons.
Yeah. We gonna get into the Cowboys, obviously, and we're also gonna talk about, unfortunately, the Longhorns. Our Longhorns losing in the college football playoff semifinal against Washington. That sucked ass. That was depressing. But yeah. First off, the Cowboys. Cowboys getting that dub 20-19. Just a quick recap of the game. They had a field goal first, and then we got into the end zone first with that CeeDee Lamb 92-yard touchdown. Oh my gosh. A CeeDee fumbled into the end zone. That could have, if he scored on that play, he could have really pulled ahead.
Yeah.
Instead, it was 7-3. The Lions capitalized on that, and they scored on a David Montgomery touchdown. They pulled ahead 10-7, and then we had a clutch touchdown catch by Brandon Cooks. Brandon Aubrey field goal made it 20-13. Cowboys. The Lions went down with a potential game-winning drive. They did score a touchdown, but this is where the controversy starts. They had multiple penalties going for two. You know, obviously, we're going to get more into this in depth. There was confusion with the refs. The right offensive lineman didn't report eligible. They got a flag for that. On the second two-point conversion attempt, they got another flag. So they tried a two-point attempt again for a third time. And luckily, the Cowboys were able to stop them. Cowboys won 20-19. So before we get into the controversy at the end, what did you think of the game overall?
I think the game was pretty evenly matched between the two teams. I mean, every now and again, they would have like their big drives. It was very back and forth, just without a lot of high scores.
Yeah,
that was my assessment of it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just seemed very, very even matched. You know, thankfully, right? I was honestly kind of worried. I was like, well, the Lions are actually a good team right now, so this is going to be a good test of us and how we match up with everyone, right?
Yeah.
But I think we played exactly at the level that we needed to compete against the Lions.
Yeah.
Now, if we play like that, like in the playoffs, I don't think we're going to get very far.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, very evenly matched. It was kind of back and forth. A lot of drives that didn't end up going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A few turnovers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was on both sides of the game, right?
Yeah.
And just the end is the real interesting part.
Exactly, yeah. And there were some Cowboys fans like thinking that we were going to blow out the Lions just because we were at home. And I was like, nah, their record is good. Like the Lions, they have won the NFC North Division for the first time since 1993.
Yeah, and props to them.
Yeah.
It's about time I see the Lions in the playoffs.
Yeah, Dan Campbell, he's a hell of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found this out like last week that he actually played for the Cowboys. He was a backup tight end. Obviously didn't get much play time with Jason Witten.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and he made himself a made man, rising through the ranks and becoming head coach. And he changed the culture of the Lions.
That's what they needed.
Yeah, obviously, I was telling people in the last episode that it's really probably the Lions' success was going to be predicated on Jared Goff. Because there are times where he can play spectacular and be accurate, but then there are other times where he can turn into the Jared Goff of old, the reason why the Rams got rid of him, where, you know, you just make dumb turnovers, and we saw that he did that. I think he had 2 interceptions.
I think it was 2 interceptions, yeah.
And then obviously the one that
sealed the deal.
So pretty much sealed the deal for us, at the second to last drive for them.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was at Texas Live watching that game with some buddies of mine. I was hyped. Tense game. Obviously, it was cool at halftime to see Jimmy Johnson get inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. It was cool to see him with his guys, the triplets,
Yes.
the guys that he works with at NFL Fox Sunday. That was a special moment. And then to cap it off with a game like this, an exciting game, like you mentioned, it shouldn't have been that close.
One thing I noticed is you could see the momentum shift every drive. Like, no one team had so much momentum going through. It was back and forth the rest of the game.
Exactly.
Until I think another pivotal point was at the end where we got that interception, like you said, in the second to last drive.
Yeah.
Because that gave us a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't capitalize on it because we ended up with a field goal on that drive, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
what happened on the next drive?
Exactly. They went down and scored.
And the game was almost in jeopardy for them.
Yeah, exactly. But just to give this, before we talk about the controversy, just to give this game a little bit more context, some stats for you. Dak Prescott went 26 of 38, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tony Pollard had 49 yards. Obviously, the run game still isn't good enough. CeeDee Lamb, big night.
He had a massive game.
227 yards, 1 touchdown. That fumble that we mentioned. Brandon Cook, 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Man, CeeDee Lamb is the man.
He is.
Jerry Jones knew what he was doing whenever he gave CD number 88.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
He's. I know there was controversy when he was like, yeah, that's going to be my number. And everyone was like, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I think he's earned it now.
Yeah.
100%. He's earned that number.
For sure. Brandon Aubrey also went 2 for 2 on field goals, his longest being a 51-yard field goal. And I was not, whenever I was watching the last field goal that he made that got us to 20 points, me and my friends at Texas Live, we were like, yeah, Mr. Automatic. I'm not worried at all. Remember how old dude, I even forgot what his name was, old dude missed like 4 kicks?
Mm-hmm.
In the wild card against the Bucks.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
But I know you and I talked about it. 100%.
But Brandon Aubrey, I completely trust him. Now let's talk about that controversy at the end, bro. Just to give y'all the rundown of what happened. Number 68 was the one that was flagged for illegal touching. Whenever you look at the replay, though, you see number 68, who was flagged, walk up to the ref. But you also see number 70 come in late, walk up to the ref. Number 68 also had another lineman walk up to the ref with them. They were basically trying to pull one over on the Cowboys, but instead of tricking the Cowboys, they ended up tricking the refs, which was a moot point because the ref is obliged to tell the defense who's reporting as eligible. So that was dumb to begin with anyways. You should have just ran the play. like normal, not try to pull one over on the Cowboys. At first, I was joking around, but being semi-serious that, like, Jerry Jones, he paid the refs. He wasn't going to let the Cowboys lose on Jimmy's night. But nah, it wasn't, and just like Jared Goff said in the press conference, it wasn't like the fix is in. The refs made a huge mistake. I don't see why Dan Campbell and why number 70 would lie and be adamant about it.
Right, yeah.
So you see 70 is the one that he didn't say anything. 68 reported as eligible, but the ref said that 70 reported as eligible. So because and you saw the ref walk over to the defense to try to tell the defense who reported as eligible. Meanwhile, number 70 is walking up, so I guess he thinks that 70 said it, but he just totally botched that. It was an illegal touching. It ended up costing them because they got pushed back 5 yards and they still went for 2. At that point, I would just kick the field goal. Yeah, I get going for 2 whenever you're at the 2-yard line or whatever.
Yeah,
but going for two more times.
That's where my disconnect from the whole situation comes in.
Yeah,
I can 100% understand the frustration of the Lions team, the head coach, even the fans, right? Like, what kind of a call was that? It just seemed fishy. And my gut reaction to it when I was watching the game, I was like, ooh, that doesn't sound right. But I'm not the best person with the rule book, right? So I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's no way they go for 2 again. They go for 2. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we intercepted the second attempt. There was another flag on us, so we got pushed up again.
Yeah.
And of course, they're back up in better field position. They're going to go for it again.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you? And then the whole thing just falls flat on his face. But I agree with you. That second one, when I pushed back to the 7 or 6, wherever they were, Just kick the field goal.
And take it into overtime.
Take it into overtime.
Because now, if it's in overtime, all the pressure's on the Cowboys.
That's right.
So, just some key points. Cowboys still undefeated at home. That streak was about to be derailed, but still
close.
Undefeated. And like we both mentioned, not satisfied with the offensive performance, because you play like that against a good team in the playoffs, that's gonna bite you. Like being able to maybe go up 14-3, but instead it ends up 10-7. You're down 10-7. So yeah, that might get you beat in the playoffs.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Going forward, the Cowboys face the Commanders. Cowboys are 11-5. The Cowboys have the chance to win the NFC East with this win because the Eagles fumbled the bag against the Arizona Cardinals. All the Eagles had to do was win this week and next week, and they would have been the number 2 seed now because the Eagles dropped that game against the Cardinals. The Cowboys, all they got to do is win against the Commanders, and we got the number 2 seed. We would play the 7th seed. The Eagles fall to the 5th seed. We play the 7th seed, and which will most likely be the Packers. Hopefully it is. And we could beat the Packers and get to the divisional round. So
there's some history with the Packers, though.
Oh, yeah. But luckily, they ain't got that dog over there. They ain't got that cowboy killer, who I call him the second owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Aaron Rodgers. They ain't got him no more.
Thank
So
God he
we
went to
can
the
beat
Jets.
them. Yeah, we can beat them. Obviously, we both got the Cowboys winning against the Commanders.
No questions asked.
Yeah,
I did look up their record. They're 4-12.
4-12?
I mean, the only situation I can see we don't come out with a win is if the Cowboys look at their record and they're like, oh, easy team.
Yeah.
They go in unprepared.
Yeah.
And then the Commanders are like, nah, this is a division game. We're gonna
Let's
show
spoil
up and we're gonna, rub some dirt in their face.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play their hearts out.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they got to lose, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where their draft stock is. I don't know if that even matters.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna show up, but not show up to play,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only situation I can see them losing.
Yeah. But I see them doing the same thing that they did against all the other bad teams that they played, blowing them out.
I hope so.
And hopefully you can do what you did against most of the bad teams, blow them out by the 4th quarter. You're resting.
Exactly.
And then get rested up for
And that
playoffs.
helps with not motivation, momentum into the playoffs as well.
Exactly.
You get a huge win on a team,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be riding a high into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So Cowboys, Commanders, Sunday. We expect to win that game and win the NFC East. Let's go. But let's switch over the MVP convo real quick. At first, it was a tough race. We didn't know who was going to win between Brock Purdy, between Dak Prescott, between Josh Allen, between some players like Tyreek Hill. But obviously, the past 2 weeks, all those other players, they didn't make headlines like Lamar Jackson has. So, to me, Lamar Jackson solidified the MVP, especially his performances against the Dolphins and the 49ers. So, what you think?
I'm a little bit on the fence of I'd have to see where it stacks up because I thought Brock Purdy wasn't going to get it. I haven't been closely watching the 49ers, but you'd have to be blind and not notice how they're playing, right? So I think it's going to be a close race between Lamar and Brock.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, their game against the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to pull a little bit more weight if it comes down that close to the wire.
Yeah.
And we'd probably see Lamar come out on top in that situation. So.
Yeah. Like his team kind of depleted with injuries. I think one of their running backs got injured. Mark Andrews.
There you go.
He got injured. Isaiah Likely, the backup tight end, he's made plays in place of him. Obviously, Zay Flowers, he's been good all season. I had him on my fantasy team, so he has that. He has Justice Hill as a running back. But Lamar Jackson is willing this team, and he's definitely the leader of it. You can see him making plays. Obviously, he's making plays in the pocket, evading the pass rush and would-be sacks, and making great throws downfield, taking off with his legs whenever he wants to. Because of that, I think he solidified the MVP.
I'd mostly agree with you. I think the only thing it's kind of I think it might be a little bit close between him and Brock. But again, I would look at the performance between the two teams, and you'd get Lamar winning out in that situation too.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see, right?
It will. Yeah. The 49ers, they'll pretty much they're going to be sitting everybody out. They locked up the 1 seed.
Yep.
The Ravens, I think they locked up the 1 seed too. So I think they'll be sitting too. We'll see.
Keep them rested. Why play them? Why risk an injury?
Exactly.
This episode of the Banganator podcast was recorded in MZ Studios. MZ Studios is a premier podcast studio located in the Ritchie Group Tower in Dallas, offering full-service audio and video podcast production. Book with MZ Studios today.
It's the Week 17 edition of the Banganator's top banging moments in the NFL. At number 4, I got James Conner's one-handed touchdown catch. First of all, Kyler Murray avoids pressure in the pocket like Mayweather in the ring. He makes an amazing throw, and Conner makes an amazing one-handed catch. He is the main reason why the Cardinals beat the Eagles and are currently helping the Cowboys win the NFC East. At number 3, I got Gunnar Olszewski's 94-yard punt return touchdown. This dude fielded the ball at the 6-yard line, ran into trouble at the 20, miraculously broke tackles, flew down the right sideline, had a slew of teammates block for him. Touchdown. At least something is going right in the Giants organization. At number 2, give me Jimmy Johnson's Ring of Honor ceremony. Obviously, it's long overdue. Everyone affiliated with Jimmy Johnson was there. Troy, Emmett, and Michael. The NFL Fox Sunday crew, they flew down to Dallas to see that. And it felt good to see Jimmy Johnson laugh and smile with all of his guys around him and be congratulated throughout the NFL weekend. So obviously all NFL fans knew that he deserved that. And at number 1, I got CD Lamb's record-breaking night. 227 yards, a 92-yard touchdown that was clutch. He broke 2 franchise records held by Michael Irvin, also in the 88 club. The most single-season receptions in franchise history with 122 receptions. The most single-season receiving yards in franchise history with 1,651. And CD, you're doing big things in the 88 club, so congratulations on those 2 single-season receiving records. Zach, what you think of my list?
So, before I say anything, we'll say congrats CD and congrats to Jimmy Johnson. Mm-hmm. The only sort of controversy I have is I have a hard time, 1 and 2 or so close.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Both Cowboys
Jimmy brought us, 3 Super Bowls, right? In his era?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't gone back since.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it's like, I kind of feel like that needs to be in the number 1 spot, but at the same time, I'm like, man, CD, he had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
He had a monster game. So it's like, it is so neck and neck. I would almost tie him, to be honest.
Really?
I would.
But if you had to, which one would you put at number 1 out of those 2?
Man, if I had to, I think I put CD number 1.
CD? Okay.
Because there's just more record breaking and just a ton of stats. It's a great season for him.
Exactly.
And as much as I love Jimmy Johnson getting in the Ring of Honor, as much as he deserved it, right? I do think the amount of stuff CD's doing this year, and all the highlights you said, all of his receiving yards, his attempts, how he's performing that 92-yard run. Yeah. I mean, that play itself was just amazing.
Exactly.
And I do think that just carries a little more weight. It's a little more current. So I'd put it up there number 1 too.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it. So yeah, you agree with my list then?
I do, yeah.
Because the main reason I had CeeDee Lamb at number 1 was him breaking those records.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's also wearing the number 88. The dude whose records he broke also wore the 88. So that's just special. And so you got to give it up.
You got to give it up to CD, man.
Yeah. So thank you for opinions on my list, and I got a pretty good damn list once again. All right, we switching over from the pros to college now. College football playoff. Obviously, it was a big day, New Year's Day for college football. Texas versus Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Unfortunately, Texas lost 37-31. Just a recap of the game. We watched the game together, by the way, me and Zach. So I went over to his crib, nice media room. The first half was tight. We went for blow, ended the first half tied 21 apiece.
Yep.
Really great first half. Michael Penix had 200 passing yards. You're the one that pointed out to me. The second half, Washington started to pull away, 31-21. And then we fumbled in the fourth quarter, in the middle of the fourth quarter, which was crucial. That really effed us. We were able to hold Washington to a couple of field goals. A.D. Mitchell had an amazing catch to bring Texas' score to 28. And then Burt Auburn made a field goal to bring Texas' score to 31. So we down 37-31 at this point. We didn't recover the onside kick with less than 2 minutes to go. But we were able to get the ball back miraculously. And then Washington was low-key choking because they had a penalty to give them another 15 yards.
Yep.
And then they let us march downfield all the way into the red zone.
Yep.
But after multiple touchdown attempts in the red zone, Washington played good defense, and they stopped us from scoring. Washington held and won 37-31. They gonna face Michigan in the Natty. What'd you think of the game overall?
Overall, I mean, as much as I want to say I'm disappointed that we lost, I can't say it was a terrible game. Both games that we played yesterday were great games. They came down at the very end.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm very happy with it. I mean, I know Texas has a good team. I expected us to not really make the playoffs. I mean, I was shocked when the rankings came out. We came up to third.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
That shocked me.
Yeah.
I expected maybe like a top 5 finish this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not so distraught by the loss. I do think the better team won.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think it really came down to Texas. It was just all the self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, exactly.
All the penalties.
Exactly.
And can we talk about why were we facing the opposite direction on the field, and why didn't you get out of that runner's way? Why on the fumble?
Oh yeah.
Why are you in his way?
Yeah, that fumble that was so
just
crucial.
Turn around, block.
We were marching down the field, bro, and it could have worked out perfectly for us to go down and score, be down by a touchdown, and then we held them to field goals, obviously.
Yep.
So we could have went down and scored another touchdown and taken the lead, but that fumble really put us in a bind.
I think that fumble was one of those final nails in the coffin. It killed the momentum from that drive. It allowed them to march down the field.
It's kind of weird. Our defense was playing good and bad the whole night because we were able to hold them to field goals and keep Texas into the game.
Yeah.
But they also gave up like big plays, big catches.
So many big plays.
They didn't have any sacks. They didn't have any interceptions, which I thought we would get. You know, I thought we were gonna bring the pressure, and we had him scrambling, but he was too fast. He was like Lamar Jackson.
He's too elusive.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You can't catch up. You pressure him. He's gone.
He even had 31 rushing yards. After scrambling on a few of them. Michael Penix had 430 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, the defense was on and off, but they still found a way to keep us in the game.
Yeah, and huge props to him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I noted too while we were while we were watching the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
On that last drive, that Washington had the ball after the onside kick.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Esley, look at the time. Like, if
Yeah.
we play smart, we're gonna get the ball back. We're just gonna have to be really on it, marching down the field, smart their play call. And I think we got the ball back with 50 seconds after the punt, maybe just under a minute.
Yeah, just under a minute.
And of course, we got the penalty on that punt
Mm-hmm.
that got us an extra 15 yards. That didn't help Washington,
Yeah.
right? So every first down under 2 minutes, they stopped the clock. I believe we had a play that didn't get past that first down marker, but then there was an injury timeout.
Yeah.
That helped us in the
That
end.
helped us, yeah.
And they added 3 seconds onto that.
Mm-hmm.
That allowed us to run that last play, albeit it wasn't successful.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed us that one extra chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just think that we could have called it a little bit different of the plays on that final drive, especially those last 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's too much pressure on Mitchell. Like you watch so much Texas film, you hear the talk, you know how key of a player he is. You
Yeah.
saw the play he made earlier in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, let's change it up a little bit, get the pressure off of him. Go to the side of the field. We got a little more space to work with.
That's true.
Get a few more yards.
Yeah.
and then we use our target.
Yeah.
I feel like that could have been something that was different. That maybe might have gave us a little bit of success.
Yeah. I feel you on that. On the third and second to last plays, I feel like it was just miscues because we couldn't even get the ball thrown into the end zone. And then on the very last play, I'm fine with the play call. I would have just made it a jump ball so he could go up and catch it instead of a sideline catch.
Yeah.
So go up for a jump ball. We see what he did in his previous touchdown catch.
He jumped
jump
like
ball.
10
He
feet in the air.
Exactly. Moss and landed inbounds, made a great catch touchdown. Yeah. But just the way that it was thrown and the way that, because it was thrown towards the sideline, I get it. He's trying to steer the ball away from the defender. But in doing that, A.D. Mitchell couldn't jump up because he had to pay attention to where his feet landed and make sure it stayed in bounds. And because of that, the defender was able to knock the ball away, clean, no call, because I saw some people saying that it was a pass interference. That was not a pass interference. A.D. Mitchell's ability to catch the ball was not affected by the defender having his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So great no call.
I agree with that. He just played better in that last play.
Exactly.
I mean, I see where the frustration could come as a fan, right? I was like, he had his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He wasn't making an attempt to jump at the ball, right? As you said, he had to pay attention to where his feet were planted. Mm-hmm. That defender, he did not push him, he did not pull him, did not yank his jersey.
Yeah.
What he did is he put his hand up, and really what I think it was is in preparation for when he's going to jump up and swat that ball away.
Exactly.
His hand won't get caught on A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah.
And he just made a better play.
He did. And that was like a perfect, like, you couldn't ask a DB to make a better play. Like, no, he didn't interfere with A.D. Mitchell's arms. He just batted the ball away.
That's right.
Clean away. So obviously, hella heartbreaking for Texas and Texas fans. You know, who would have thought that we were going to be in the college football playoffs? We won the Big 12. So I say the Big 12 farewell tour was definitely success for football and volleyball. And obviously we're set up great for the SEC next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what Sarkisian's done with the team has been fantastic. I know a lot of people don't, I wouldn't say a lot. There might be a few naysayers, if you will, that they haven't bought in yet.
Yeah.
And what I got to say
Trash
to that
fan.
is let's rewind a little bit. Those coaches we had after we got rid of Mac Brown, right? Where did we ever get with any of them?
I don't even remember the other coaches' names, but I remember Charlie Strong.
He was that first one.
Yeah.
And I remember there was, even after he was done, I do forget the second head coach, but we had so many athletes decommit from the program.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see any potential in it.
Yeah.
And we have the opposite now.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many like high valued recruits committing to the school.
Exactly.
And I think
so many like recruiting headlines from whether it's transfers or whether it's like recruiting from high school. So many headlines that I saw.
Right, yeah. And I think that is the Sarkisian effect.
Yeah.
He came in as much as I love to hate Alabama, that's where he came from.
Yeah.
He's key with how he was trained. I mean,
exactly.
I don't like Alabama, but I do have to give props to Nick Saban.
Exactly.
He knows what he's doing. He knows how to foster the culture.
His coaching tree too. Like he has an elite. That's one of the things that makes Nick Saban a all-time great head coach, probably the greatest head coach of all time. Not only him winning so many championships, but his coaching tree. He got Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian. We see what he's doing in Texas.
That's right.
You got Kirby Smart. Back-to-back natties with Georgia. I forgot some of his other understudies that came up under him, but a lot of his coordinators under him go on to do big things at big-time programs, especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, he brought recruiting with him. He knew how to recruit. I already knew Sark was going to bring recruits. But what I didn't know was going to happen is the transfer portal. The biggest example of that, A.D. Mitchell. He transferred from Georgia.
Yeah.
He won back-to-back. I think he was there for the back-to-back natties. So he transferred from that program. He knew what we were building in Texas. I compared it to Texas volleyball getting so many elite players in the transfer portal, kind of that Jerry Jones mentality in the 90s, how Texas volleyball was able to get Madison Skinner, who had won a natty with Kentucky. They were able to get steal Kayla Akana from Nebraska, who we beat in the natty. Obviously, they have homegrown talent, but same thing with Texas football. They were able to get other players. There was one of our players, I forgot which one. I think it's one of our running backs, came from Alabama. I don't know if it's because of playtime or
You're right.
what.
And I don't remember his name either, but I remember seeing that, and that was a huge story when that broke too.
Yeah.
But again, that all ties back into, I think it comes down to the top of the program, the head coach, right? What he's put in place, the culture he's fostered.
Exactly.
I think it's very easily shown.
Yeah.
And how much passion the players have.
Yeah.
How much. I mean, let's just pause there. What's the difference between Quinn Ewers this year and last year? He's completely different.
So much growth. Not only in looks, him chopping off his mullet, but and losing weight too. But you could just see him become so much more of a leader.
Style. Yeah.
Become so much more mature. And then players like Jordan Whittington, like leading with, usually quiet on the field, but he leads with his play. He's always making clutch catches, always getting yards after catch. Xavier Worthy is spoken for. To me, he's like a CeeDee Lamb type of receiver.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jatavion Sanders, he would make big time catches. And then our defense playing lights out too. At one point we had 7 straight games with turnovers or interceptions, I think.
Yeah.
I'm proud of all of our guys, and like you mentioned, it starts in college football. It starts with the head coach that is responsible for setting the standard and the culture and making moves. So, but amazing season this year. Sucks that it ended bitterly, but all in all, as fans, we can look back and say it's been a success.
It's a successful season.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the talk that has been had over the past 3 years, Texas is back,
Yeah.
Anytime I'd see that, I'd be like, man, I don't know. Yeah. Like, of course, with Sam Ehlinger, I remember you and I had gone to a few games in his third year.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype around it.
Yeah.
But there was no foundation around him for him to build off of. So there was not a whole lot you couldn't grow up, you couldn't succeed all that well.
Exactly.
I
felt bad too because Sam Ehlinger was kind of like Quinn Ewers. Like, he's the ultimate pros pro, and he was such a great quarterback for us. Like you said, we just didn't have the team yet.
The chips
especially
didn't fall
the
into
defense.
place.
Yeah,
and that's one thing different I saw. I mean, you could see a little bit of it last year, but the start of this year, all the games, watching the highlights, right? I was like, this team's just different.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is going to be a highly successful year.
Yeah.
And we won the Big 12 championship. Our one loss
to OU.
Damn you, Sooners.
Yeah.
Why you do that to us?
Yeah. But hey, I'm going to hate on OU real quick. OU's ceiling is beating us in the Cotton Bowl. Not the Cotton Bowl, in the Red River rivalry.
Played at the original Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Texas's floor is losing to them.
That's right.
So say all you want. You can horns down all you want, but we're like that for real, and we're back. And heads up, coming into the SEC. First of all, to OU, y'all aren't doing crap against us in the SEC. And then to Texas A&M, Big Brother's back. We're here to stay.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We moving back in. We gonna come to y'all crib in College Station, and we at Kyle Field, and we gonna snatch y'all chain. So yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, obviously, Michigan versus Washington, the national championship. Michigan beat Alabama 27-20 in overtime in the Rose Bowl. That game was better than the Texas game, the Texas-Washington game to me. Obviously, the Rose Bowl, that is a prestigious place to play, to go, to be a fan. Obviously, the 2006 Rose Bowl championship,
sir.
We know that very well. That game did not disappoint. those who know me closely know that Michigan's my second favorite team. Obviously, Texas first. I like J.J. McCarthy. I like Jim Harbaugh. I love Blake Corum. He helped put the team on his back too. Obviously, they had a lot of miscues in the special teams. J.J. McCarthy throwing a pick, but McCarthy and Corum were able to help lead them back and overcome a deficit to win that in overtime. Obviously, Jalen Milroe botching that play at the end. Unfortunate for Alabama. I do feel bad for him, but I'm glad that my second favorite team, my Michigan Wolverines, were able to pull that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a magnificent game.
Yeah.
At the Rose Bowl, obviously, like you said, it's just a very prestigious atmosphere to play in.
Yeah.
There's so much history there.
Yeah.
And that game did not disappoint.
Yeah.
I loved watching Michigan come back. They were down 17-10, got up. They scored a touchdown, got a field goal. It was tied 20-20 for overtime.
Yep.
And it got tied pretty close to the end of the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Where I kind of have a disconnect and I see similarities between Alabama and Texas, at least for me, was that last drive. It was the same thing. I felt there's questionable calls for what Alabama was running. And more so for Alabama in their last play.
Yeah.
They were a similar situation a couple of yards back, maybe just inside the 10, I believe. And you're gonna run it on your last play of the game.
Yeah, same here, because I don't know if I would have called that.
And you don't cut through an alley. You run straight into the back of your defenders. You aren't on the goal line. You can't do that.
With that, I will say that's not his fault. I can't believe that we're talking about the center, but the center
Now, I did
snapped it low. Jalen Milroe had to catch it low, and
that's true.
And then that's what threw him off, because if it was regular right here, he would have been able to at least execute that play better, and he might have been able to also see a screen pass that was possible to throw over there to his left side. But because the snap was low, he freaked out, ran straight into the pile. But like you said, I don't even know if I would have called that play. Yes, I know that it was a similar play that he ran to even get you to whatever yard line that he was at before the last play. But to me, I would have settled for a pass. I would have that QB draw. I would have done that probably if they were like right on the goal line,
exactly,
like 2-yard line or less.
Yeah, and
they were too far away for that.
Yeah, and for Alabama, I think it's a similar story. It was more self-inflicted wounds, and it wasn't in the form of penalties like it was for Texas. It was. I feel like they had constant issues with their snaps the whole game.
Yes.
Always low, always outside.
Yeah.
There was nothing concrete. It's hard. I mean, props to them for being even in overtime with that type of issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to finalize on drives or capitalize on drives or get scores, get set up right, let a play develop if you're worrying about where I have to catch this ball for my center, right? And I get it's you're in the Rose Bowl. You're probably nervous.
Yeah. I
know I would be.
Yeah.
But you got to do your best not to let that stuff get to you.
Yeah.
As much as I love to hate on Alabama, right?
Yeah.
I've got to give some feeling to them, because that couldn't have felt good, right?
Yeah.
But I do think going into this national championship game, I know you got Michigan. I got Washington.
That's crazy, bro. But why do you got Washington though?
I think Michael Penix he's gonna carry the team.
Okay.
He's, from what I saw on how he played against Texas, how elusive he is, how more so flexible, I guess is the word I'm using. I think that's just gonna be a challenge for Michigan as well, and I think Washington is gonna I wouldn't say walk all over Michigan. Yeah. But I think they're gonna be able to come out on top based on how they let the plays develop. Their O-line was top tier. Yeah. So I just think all that factoring into it is it's gonna see Washington come out on top.
Okay. And I would say I'm going for, not only am I rooting for Michigan, but I actually do think that Michigan is going to win for different reasons. I think that even though Michael Penix can do what he does, like he did against Texas, and he can fling it, he might have the best arm in the country, because for the most part, he's accurate. Yeah. I do think that Michigan's ability to overcome mistakes and the leadership brought on by J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum and Jim Harbaugh, that'll be the reason why they win. Their ability to make plays and just overcome. I mean, that's been Michigan's whole entire season. Overcome. They had to overcome the loss of their head coach twice. That's why I think they're gonna win. So it's gonna be a fun one for sure.
It's gonna be incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
And I love Jim Harbaugh and crew. I know he's got a ton of history. He's he's a veteran coach, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see him still succeeding. He's kind of almost on the same pedestal as Nick Saban is. I think Saban's a little bit higher, but I have a little more respect for him.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't do it for me. I gotta go for Washington.
All right, man. All right. I just gotta end this segment with this. Sorry to do it to you, bro.
Let's sing the victors. 1, 2. You know what to do.
Hail to the victors, valiant. Hail to the conquering heroes. Hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. Woo!
I don't got a
Let's
song.
go, Michigan. Go blue.
I don't got a song memorized to combat.
Yeah. Since Texas, hook 'em. We ain't in it. Go blue. Thank y'all for watching this episode of the Banganator podcast. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow me on the Banganator podcast Instagram and Banganator pod _4 on the Twitter X. Thanks again, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming up here anytime.
Hey, no problem, bro. You were obviously on my podcast last year, and I'm glad that we were able to make it bigger and better in this episode. So again, thank you, bro.
I love it. You're doing great.
Appreciate it.
Hit that like button.
Appreciate it, fam. Cowboys versus Commanders on Sunday. Come on, let's get this dub, Cowboys. Let's win the NFC East.
Wrap it up.
Let's get the 2 seed.
Wrap it up.
Come on. Hey, say it with me, bro.
How about them Cowboys? There you go. Damn.
The Banganator podcast is brought to you by Esley Banga, diehard fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1997. How about them Cowboys?